looking at this grille, can only be a Jeep. There's no other brand that has that grille pattern. Mean looking front end, but yes, this is the baby Jeep, the Renegade, which some people sometimes nastily refer to as a Fiat 500X in drag, but it's got a lot of Jeep DNA to it as well, and it is the little urban Jeep. I think that's a good way of referring to it. You've got the cladding around the wheel arches to make it look a little bit more aggressive and to give it that nice stance. 16-inch mag wheels, they look good, they look tough, they look nice. You can see again the cladding across the bottom of the bodywork over there throughout. It looks good, it's nice and squared off in typical Jeep fashion. And you come around, of course, to the back. And yet another Jeep trademark, of course, when you look at the rear lights with the X in the rear lights, which is a Jeep trademark all the way. You come to the boot over here, which measures just over 200 litres in standard form, but of course you can drop back seats, you can get up to about 900 litres of load space. Underneath, nice for a change, a full-size spare wheel. Good touch Jeep over there. And then you've got a nice little touch over here where you've got these little storage areas on the side here with, as you can see, netting to hold things in place. Those are important little features as far as I'm concerned. This is the Longitude version, as Jeep title it, which places it in the range. You can see rear parking, park distance control. It's got a rear view camera as well on the infotainment screen. The Longitude means it's powered by the 1.4 litre turbo engine, putting out 103 kilowatts, 250 newton meters of torque, front wheel drive. There is, of course, a four-wheel drive version available as well, higher up in the range. Let's check it out inside. As always, we start looking inside, looking at the dashboard. Very interesting dash. I like the little extra colouring on the rev counter you can see from the limit, not the usual red, just a Jeep touch to it. 380 kilometers on this test so far, averaging 8.3 litres per 100, which is not the lightest in the world, but I can tell you it's probably very much among the worst you're going to get in this car, because that has been very much mixed driving, a lot of urban driving, and I think most owners can beat that kind of figure. Something I really do like on this car is this very chunky Thickish steering wheel. Feels very good in your hands, nice to grip over there. Of course, you've got your cruise control over there, you've got controls over here, all this very, very standard in today's world that we live in. You come across to the center fascia and you see on top of the dash over here, quite interesting, is the aircon vents on top of the dashboard over there, and then below it, of course, you come to the nice infotainment touch screen over there, touch the button, and there's your map, for example. I mentioned earlier that it has a reverse camera. Well, apologies, no reverse camera, but there is an indicator on the center of the dash where I showed you the fuel consumption earlier. When you put her into reverse, and you'll see it does show the park distance control like that over there. So that is your reverse for you over there. Just a little bit different, but I don't think it matters. You come down to your controls for your air conditioning and other controls over there. Very standard, but they're actually pretty neat, I think. And then, of course, your USB, your 12-volt auxiliary, all over here, nice and neat. 6-speed automatic transmission, standard automatic, but very functional, works very nicely and very, very neat. I mentioned earlier there are lots of Jeep touches to the vehicle, and I think that's pretty important. Of course, one of the most important, most typical Jeep touches has to be that grab handle in front of the passenger for when you're driving like a bit of a maniac and you're scaring your passenger. There you go, they can hang on for dear life over there if they want to. It's an important little feature over there as well. You've got big speakers down in the doors over there. It's certainly not hard plastics on the dash. You can see the quality does come through. It's a nicely finished off, generally very chunky, very nicely finished off. If we take a look into the back seat, you'll see good space for a smaller family SUV. I think I would like to term it that way. So it all comes into those sort of features. Even, I mentioned the word chunky, you look at the controls, for example, on the dashboard. They're all nice and chunky and solid over here, you can see, for the volume on the radio, etc. That's where you feel you're in a Jeep. This model with its standard 6-speed auto, I mentioned the 1.4 turbo engine, comes in at 403,000 Rand in current pricing. 6 airbags are standard, a 3-year, 100,000 kilometer service plan is included. It's a Jeep. It's not the cheapest vehicle on the market. We all know that. You're paying a bit of a premium for the Jeep name and the Jeep brand and that Jeep reputation. I think that's the most important thing. But it's a fun car to drive. The engine is responsive. No, it's not a sports car. Don't think it is, because it's a typical crossover, smaller SUV, so it's slightly raised, but it handles well. The engine I mentioned is very responsive, so it really is quite fun through a mountain pass or through a few twisties or something like that. It's got that extra response that you want out of an engine of this sort. Smooth, comfortable ride as well, actually surprisingly comfortable in my book. So it's got all those kind of features that make it an ideal urban cruiser and for the occasional open road little jaunt, shall we call it. I said to you just now, it's a question of you like the Jeep brand and it certainly has a cachet to it. It's an important factor to me as well. Overall, nicely put together, feels solid, which I think is very, very important in today's world. And just comes over. It's got a feel-good factor to it. I think that's what I feel when I'm driving this car. And that's an important thing with any car that you want to drive. The competitors in this category are absolutely endless, so I'm not going to name. You need to check out, obviously, and see where you fit in, money-wise, car-wise, category-wise, for yourself while you're looking. But I certainly think this is one that any discerning buyer would actually take a nice little look at. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor, and I'll see you next time.